we decided to make a new Christmas wreath for our patio door, one that we will actually see every day instead of just when we go in and out of our apartment, which is less these days. So we went to buy a blank plain wreath here, and then we got some neat little items from Michael's and some ribbon, which we will be making a nice bow for the wreath. And then we have these neat little galvanized metal looking little lights to go around there, so it'll be lit as well. So stay tuned and we'll see how it turns out. But this is what we're starting with. So the first thing that I'm going to do, after having just taken all the price tags and little hanging strings off of the ornaments that we're going to be adding to the wreath, I'm going to now fluff out the wreath so that it is evenly separated and all nice and fluffy. And then we'll start to figure out what to put where. So I've just finished fluffing up the wreath, and you can see it looks quite a bit fuller and taller. I pulled all of the edge boughs out to the side, and then I pulled the other ones up a little more vertical, so it gives it a little more height and gives us some nice spots to tuck some of the ornaments into. Now, I've never made a bow before, but I just watched a bunch of tutorials on YouTube, so I'm confident I can do this task. So what they said was to take the ribbon and measure it out from the top of your hand down to your elbow and have that as the length, and then you fold it over a bunch of times, which I'll show you just one second. Okay, so I have it folded so that I have 8 layers of this here. So you see all those? And you just fold it over and over, and then you cut it off. It's pretty simple. And then the next thing you have to do is find the center here, and then cut a little notch about 1/3 of the way in from the edge on both sides, and then you leave about 1/3 in the center uncut, so that you'll have something to wrap the wire around when you put it in the center. Okay, so you can see here how I've cut through about 1/3 of the way on both sides. And then you're going to take some twist tie material or some floral wire or a zip tie or something like that to cinch this center down so it looks a little bit more gathered like that. So I just used some twist tie stuff that I got from the dollar store. Just cut a big long length of it off. You want to leave it long so you'll be able to attach the tail pieces later and then attach it to your wreath after that. But you see, you just go pull it through the middle so that on the other side it's cinched up a little bit like that. And then you just start opening your loops up and shaping them and putting them into the position you want. So let's see how I fare with that. So I have my finished wreath here. I have to say, it took me probably 4 or 5 tries to get the bow right. And I realized that the loop size that the tutorials that I watched wanted me to make was way too big. And also this material for the bow is a little bit thinner than I had anticipated, and also the gauge of the wire that is along the edges there is not very thick, so it wasn't holding the shape the way that I wanted it to, especially as the loops were bigger. So I ruined most of the roll of the ribbon, but I did manage to get a decent end result, which I'm pretty happy with, and nice tails with the pointed ends there. And then after I got that done, I just added all of the rest of the items. And what I did, instead of hot gluing all of it, which I had originally intended to do, I actually took some of the little branches and slipped them through the holes in the top of the ornaments where the hooks would normally go. And then I just twisted it backwards and made basically a little loop there. And it holds them in place really well. Like, the things don't move much at all. And it also gives me the option to remove them later on if I want, and, you know, put something else on there. I don't think that will be the case, but still, it gives you an option. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with the overall result. And it actually, these little stars light up too, so I'll take another quick clip of that to add on here as well, so you can see the full effect whenever it's all lit up. It turned out really nice. I'm really happy with it. Another thing I wanted to mention that I did is for some of these heavier ornaments, like this metal stocking and the sled over here and the skis, is that I actually used some of that green twist tie material and just threaded it around them and pulled it through the wreath frame and twisted it on the back there. Now also I have made this little suspension thing for the light controller for the little stars, and I also attached that to the back of the wreath, so it'll hold it in place and I can turn it on and off without it sort of dangling down in the way. And here is the final wreath on our door. Back up a little bit so you can see it in place. And I didn't realize it, but the little star light things, they actually have a couple settings. So they have a steady on, they have a fade, which it's on right now, and then they have a flashing setting. So that was pretty neat. But all in all, I think it turned out really good, and I'm happy to have something new to have on our door.